Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have condemned Secretary's remarks. My next guest has said he should resign. Texas Senator Ted Cruz is a Republican. Senator, good of you to be here tonight. And so the Secretary, you heard, has now attempted to walk those back, and I'll let the viewers know what he has said in part. First of all, he says, I will not allow my commitment to Israel to be questioned by anyone, particularly for partisan political purposes. So I want to be crystal clear about what I believe and I do not believe. Israel's a vibrant democracy, and I don't believe, nor have I ever stated, that Israel is an apartheid state or that it intends to become one. He's speaking of tense. And then he goes on to talk about the power of words to create a misimpression, saying if he could rewind the tape, he would have chosen a different word to describe his firm belief about a Jewish state and the only possibility being a two-state solution. Your thoughts?
Well, Megan, it is good to be with you. These comments were extraordinarily troubling, and the fact that Secretary Kerry delivered them on the eve of Holocaust Remembrance Day makes them even more unacceptable. You have to understand them in a context of 5 years of the Obama administration, embodying the most hostile relationship the United States has had to Israel in modern times, whether it is the president in 2011 unilaterally demanding that Israel recede to its 1967 borders, whether it is President Obama agreeing with the president of France that Benjamin Netanyahu could not be trusted, was a liar who he couldn't stand, or whether it is John Kerry, who a few months ago legitimized the threats of boycotts against Israel, and most strikingly, these latest comments. You know, apartheid is a word weighted with history.
Let me just interrupt you before you get to that. I want you to explain that, because I think, you know, many viewers have a general sense of it, but not a full understanding of why it's been so universally condemned in this context. So the viewers know. I mean, this is from Barbara Boxer. California Senator Barbara Boxer came out and suggested that to make that comparison is nonsensical and ridiculous. Alaska Senator Mark Begich, Democrat, said how disappointed he was with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. This is outrageous and disappointing. So we've got Republicans and Democrats just seemingly outraged, never mind the Anti-Defamation League and others who have come out and said this is crazy for him to have said that. Explain.
Well, the word apartheid has its most significant connotation with the oppressive regime in South Africa, where black South Africans were treated as second-class citizens, were systematically discriminated against, and the world united against South Africa. We saw the heroic battle of Nelson Mandela against the injustice and evil that was apartheid. And for the United States Secretary of State to analogize the nation of Israel. Listen, Israel is the lone Jewish nation in the world. It is a resolute ally of the United States. And Israel is surrounded by those who would drive it into the sea. With respect to the Palestinians, Israel has sought peace repeatedly, and yet the Palestinians...
But he thinks you're playing politics. I mean, from the sound of it, he thinks you and others are playing politics with this and saying he's not going to allow anybody to question his commitment to Israel.
You know, talk's cheap, and actions matter a lot more. Right now, this Secretary of State is negotiating a deal with the nation of Iran that Prime Minister Netanyahu has said is an historically bad deal and an historic mistake that I fear is going to allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons that could be used against the nation of Israel. And the language of apartheid, you can be certain the words of John Kerry will be repeated by anti-Semites throughout the world, will be repeated in Europe, will be repeated by the nation of Iran, and they will say, this isn't us saying it's apartheid. This is the U.S. Secretary of State. Words have meaning, and this language undermines a critical ally of it and undermines U.S. national security interest. I mean, Megan, the reason when John Kerry was nominated that I voted against his confirmation is my concern was that he would put his view of the international community above U.S. national security interests. And I'm sad to say this comment follows a pattern of doing just that.
Senator Cruz, thanks for being with us tonight.